Green building goals meet construction constraints. Sustainability targets may be rising, but on many building projects, the limiting factor isn't ambition. It's whether approval's clear on time, contractors are available when needed, and budgets still hold by the time work can actually begin. That tension is increasingly visible in construction data and in day-to-day project execution. Findings from the RICS UK Construction Monitor Q4 2025 point to a sector that is no longer in freefall, but still operating under constraints that are reshaping how green building projects move from plan to reality. Retrofit work is carrying the load, cautiously. Overall, construction workloads remain broadly flat, extending a pattern that has persisted for several quarters. New build activity continues to struggle, while repair and maintenance (R&M) work is holding up better. For sustainability efforts, that distinction matters. Much of today's emissions reduction is expected to come from existing buildings, not new ones. In practice, though, retrofit projects are rarely moving as cleanly as planned. Financial constraints remain the most frequently cited barrier in the RICS survey, with a majority of respondents pointing to tight credit conditions and budget pressure. For building owners, that often means projects are rephased midstream, scopes are trimmed back, or energy upgrades are pushed into next year's capital plan, more often than intended. The work is still happening, but more slowly and with less margin for error. Planning delays are reshaping what gets done and when. Across regions, planning and regulatory delays continue to surface as a persistent drag on activity. Survey respondents repeatedly describe approvals as slow, inconsistent, and constrained by staffing shortages. For sustainability-focused projects, those delays have knock-on effects. Even when the technical case for an upgrade is clear, uncertainty around approvals makes it harder to lock in contractors, hold pricing, or commit to schedules that facilities teams can confidently defend internally. By the time a project is cleared to proceed, market conditions may have shifted enough to force a rethink. The result is not abandonment of green building goals, but fragmentation. Projects broken into smaller phases, deferred components, or bundled into future cycles, rather than executed holistically. Labor shortages are a quiet performance risk. Skills shortages remain elevated across the construction sector, particularly for mechanical, electrical, and specialist trades that green building projects rely on most. RIC's data shows labor availability continuing to tighten, with many respondents noting that shortages are extending schedules and inflating costs. The result is a familiar paradox. High-performance systems are specified on paper, but the people needed to install, integrate, and properly commission them are booked months out or pulled onto higher-margin work elsewhere. When schedules slip or commissioning is rushed, long-term building performance can suffer, even if the original design intent was sound. Over time, this becomes less a construction issue and more an operational one. Costs are still outpacing comfort levels. Despite some easing in broader inflation, RICS respondents expect construction costs to continue rising faster than tender prices over the next year. Profit margins remain under pressure, reinforcing a cautious posture across the supply chain. For asset owners and facilities teams, this shifts decision-making away from comprehensive sustainability upgrades toward incremental improvements with clearer payback and lower execution risk. Energy efficiency remains a priority, but the emphasis is increasingly on what can be delivered reliably, not just what looks optimal on paper. What this means for green building delivery. The RICS data does not signal a retreat from sustainability. It signals a recalibration. Green building outcomes are being shaped less by certification frameworks alone and more by the realities of planning throughput, contractor capacity, and capital discipline. In this environment, progress is less about hitting every sustainability target at once and more about sequencing work in a way that can survive delays, labor constraints, and budget resets without stalling entirely. For facilities and energy managers, the challenge is no longer just designing better buildings, but navigating the conditions that determine whether those designs can actually perform as intended once they're occupied. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment and Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.